Hey there, my name's Jack.
And I'm Dylan.
This week we have...
In news, the election.
In sports, we're talking football.
And on A&E, we make fun of Florida.
all that and more on Concordia on Air.
So, Jack, how have the past 48 hours transpired inside of your mind?
It's been a lot of unproductivity, a little bit tense, and a splash of I haven't really paid as much attention as I should have been.
Okay, and has that been because of an unbalanced diet? Has there been something going on in your life? What's troubling you, Jack?
I mean, there's been a pretty unbalanced diet. It's been a lot of hummus and Coca-Cola.
Do you eat Sabra hummus? Or
No.
what kind of hummus do you eat?
I eat Aldi brand. The Park Street Deli hummus is very good, not sponsored, but very, very good. What about you? How have your past 48 hours been? Has there been any huge events in your life or in the culture around you?
There was something on the news the other night. I really don't know what it was quite about. Seems to be a major event about some political thing.
And there's a lot of maps of red and blue showing up everywhere, but I don't really is the red ketchup and the blue is like a blue raspberry icy? I don't understand the correlation.
Well, I think if you're talking about an icy analogy, we might want to use cherry or blue raspberry, or if you're a psychopath, mix the two. I don't know why you would do that.
That's the best flavor with the Coca-Cola icy, but sorry, I digress.
I was going to say, I saw a Coca-Cola icy at Loaf and Jug right off the interstate, and then I went in there, and they were all out of it. And it was at 2 a.m., so I mean, it's understandable, but... Yeah, so with that being said, let's pass it off to news.
With Thanksgiving break just around the corner, many students are excited for some time off before finals. This year's break goes from the 21st to the 29th, with classes resuming on the 30th. To reduce the spread of illness this year, students will have the opportunity to return to their permanent residence off campus for the rest of the semester, if they choose. Once classes resume online, reduced capacity in residence hall will make social distancing easier and put less stress on campus Wi-Fi. For those planning to stay on campus, access to resources such as the library and dining services will be limited. For those who plan to leave and come back to campus after break, remember to take advantage of the free COVID testing available at the health center if you suspect you may have been exposed. But overall, remember to take it easy and find something to be grateful for in these trying times. The City of Fargo has recently announced its plans for Amazon Shipping and Distribution Center on the north side. Construction has already begun on the building, which sits on 107 acres of land, making it the biggest building project in the city's history. Although Amazon promises to bring new job opportunities to the region, there are concerns considering the company's track record. In the past years, Amazon has come under fire for its labor practices, specifically inside of its warehouses. The company has been criticized for not allowing bathroom breaks and having high-performance quotas that force workers to perform tasks faster with disregard to safety. Only time can tell if the individual management of the new facility will improve. And as everyone knows, yesterday marked the long-anticipated 2020 election. While seats in both the Senate and the House of Representatives were open for elections, but likely the biggest thing looming over everyone's head was the presidential election between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Biden took an early lead in the polls, taking the states of Vermont, Delaware, Massachusetts, and New Jersey fairly early in the night. But Trump rebounded, taking states like Kentucky, West Virginia, and Indiana, along with the crucial battleground states of Florida and Ohio later in the night. Many votes are still currently being counted, with Pennsylvania being one of the last expected states to finish reporting votes, which could go well into Friday morning, due to the large amounts of mail-in votes. Both candidates addressed the voters late last night, Biden saying that he is optimistic with polls and is expecting a win overall, while Trump announced that he believes he has already won the election overall and that he intended to call upon the Supreme Court to halt the counting of votes at 1:30 a.m. While many political analysts and legal experts expressed Trump's statement was politically stupid and a blatant disregard to Americans' constitutional rights, this is a very scary thing to hear from the current President of the United States. Moving into early this afternoon, Biden has taken the unexpected swing state of Wisconsin, holding a lead barely 20,000 votes, and was also leading in Arizona and Michigan. Trump is still leading in other key states such as Pennsylvania, Georgia, and North Carolina. We will likely see more states reporting in votes later tonight, which could change the course of this election. But as for right now, it is too close to call an obvious victor of this race. And next, an interview with Anna Brock.
All right, welcome everybody. My name is Dylan, of course, as opposed to the wonderful Dylan over on the news bench. I'm here with Anna Brock. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a junior this year. I'm a religion major with a interfaith studies minor and a social activism minor.
Fantastic.
And I'm pretty involved with DEIC here on campus.
Okay.
I'm the lead commissioner this year, so yeah, keeping busy.
Yeah, for sure. So, as of course everybody knows, the gigantic election on everybody's minds. I have not been able to be productive for any second over the last 48 hours. Very minimal sleep. Very interrupted sleep by notifications from my phone. So I want to know, how did you go about voting for this election?
So I voted by absentee.
Okay.
I requested an absentee ballot for my hometown instead of voting here in Moorhead. Made sure that it was counted and received. Made sure all my family members and friends voted, and that's, glad I didn't have to go to the polls today yesterday.
I think that one of the things, with how much, the tumultuous nature of everything going on right now is that we do have a record year for voting. I mean, overall, throughout all of the states, a lot of people are getting out there to vote, and especially on our campus population, it seems like a lot of people took things very actively and into their own hands, especially when it came to mail-in voting. And then, of course, I think I saw from the Campus Voting Commission from over in Memorial that we had like 100 and some odd people vote in person yesterday as well, which is fantastic. So going into the election and into when polls started to close, what was your mood going into it after you had voted and seeing the results at first?
Oh boy, what wasn't the mood? I feel like all of yesterday and today, and I mean the days leading up to it, right? But yesterday was kind of that pinnacle of like votes starting to get counted. Was just like, sometimes I could remove like my mind from it, right? Like stop thinking about it and like just doom scroll, right? And like just like let your brain turn to mush. But then like I still felt all the stress in my body, and you can't shake that. No. Like, and still there's like this subconscious like stress and anxiety where you can't do anything. Like, how are we supposed to focus on schoolwork?
I mean, it's been, I mean, for me personally, I mean, just even trying to sit down to respond to emails has been, my automatic train of thought. Can't even focus on the most basic, like simplest tasks. And last night I even found myself like not remembering to go eat. So I needed to like remember that DS closed at a certain time. So I went and got some grub. But so as, the polls close and the results are coming in, over an expanded period of time throughout this week, what are your expectations and predictions for the coming? Because we have, I believe, 5 battleground states that are still up for debate and very close, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are on the expectations for that.
Well, I'm not going to say who I think is going to win. I still kind of have no idea. I mean, it looks like Biden's in a good spot right now, but you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's really shocking to see all the statements from Trump saying, let's stop counting the votes.
Yeah, I think that is very interesting. And when it comes down to, I think everyone on either side of the aisle, whether you're right or left leaning, especially where I come from, there's a lot of people that are right leaning, and even a lot of those people were saying, well, I mean, this is just stupidity, and it's utterly awful. I think everybody agrees that every single vote should be counted. Everyone, even Mike Pence, Donald Trump's running mate, came in and kind of saved the day after he said those types of things and said, we're on the path to victory. not victorious quite yet. And I think it's something that we're going to have to keep a lookout for with all the lawsuits coming up that are possibly being endorsed by the Trump campaign and Rudy Giuliani. Do you have, over the course of this election, have there been any like solid news sources or variety of news sources that you've looked to as your trusted sources to kind of scan the field?
My philosophy about that is that you can't fully trust, one source, one person. Yes. I think that's kind of irresponsible right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, personally, I'm Gen Z. I'm getting a lot of my headlines, news articles through Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, but I try to also diversify my Twitter feed, right? Yeah. And follow both the, Democratic Party and the GOP, and see what both sides are putting out to their followers, because, I mean, right now we're living in two different news streams. I mean, I don't think there's any other way to explain this divide that we're experiencing right now. Is the information that we are receiving is completely different. And so in order to not get too pulled into one direction, I try to, look at both sides and then make my decision.
Yeah.
I've been watching the CNN coverage of the election, but then I was like, I'll turn to Fox for a little while and watch that, and they were saying about the same things about votes coming in and everything.
See, so. I think when it came to information before the election, you could definitely tell that the skew was much more definite from source to source as to the information that they were putting out. But thankfully, when it actually comes to data and coverage that we were getting, I didn't see much discrepancy besides the evaluation desks when they try and call states beforehand based on probability or whatever. But they were all getting their data from the Associated Press when it came to votes and things of that nature. So I think that was actually a brighter spot. I mean, me personally, I was just looking for the prettiest graphics package myself. And I guess I just want to get your thoughts precisely on Trump's protesting of the votes that are still coming in, because of course we see places like Pennsylvania are very divided, especially when it comes down to still having over 1 million votes that need to be counted, and I think a 400,000 vote discrepancy at this point coming in. What are your thoughts on Trump's words?
Well, I think it's not a very good tactic when you're not in the lead to say stop counting the votes. I mean, something could happen where Trump takes the lead again.
Yeah.
And even from a self-interested perspective on his part, it's then make up some lie of we need to stop counting the votes. But now it is stupid.
Yeah.
Right? Votes continue to come in, and even with Pennsylvania, I mean, Trump's in the lead.
And I think it's also very important, I think, for Trump's success, he put a lot of emphasis on the Midwestern wall states, which I think we all knew that Minnesota was going to go blue, and we just needed, the positive reinforcement from the votes about that. But in Wisconsin and Michigan, it was a stark contrast from the beginning of the night. It looked very much Trump by a couple of percent. And then Biden actually today pulled out the votes to be confirmed to win or projected to win both Wisconsin and Michigan. And how do you feel about Biden's chances in the Midwest and then pulling forward there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's looking pretty good right there. But again, that state of Pennsylvania, that continuation of that Midwest wall they're talking about, still doesn't have quite as many votes in. And it's really interesting to see what votes are still waiting to be counted, right? And they're projecting that they're going to be more Democratic votes because they're more early votes that they're counting now and mail-in votes. And those have been majority votes for Joe Biden. And so I think that whole process and the counting of the votes is really interesting this specific election cycle.
Yeah. And, there's definitely a lot of discrepancy among different states and stuff. And the use of social media during this election, tell me what have been some things that you've seen and things that have irked you or made you hopeful in any sense as to how we're using social media during this time?
Yeah. Well, I think social media as a whole phenomena is so interesting because it's almost rewired our brains. Okay, we go through a Twitter feed and you see the headlines and you don't fully read the article. I mean, how many of us are fully reading every single article on our Twitter feed? We're not. And those headlines, we can look at them and think we're thinking critically, but they're also going to be influencing us. And so our attention spans are so much shorter. I mean, I can be watching stupid videos on Instagram and spend an hour doing that rather than spending 15 minutes deep diving into an important topic.
Yeah.
And so just like as a phenomena, and then, how like social media works, like the algorithms where it will show you more information that you like. And so social media itself originally, was supposed to get us to just like enjoy the content that we're seeing. And I love a good Instagram ad that's totally directed at me.
Yeah,
I love it.
sure.
But when I Google search something and I'm getting stories that are going to align with my viewpoints, or on social media and I'm getting ads that will align with my viewpoints, it's just going to further solidify what I think and further divide me from who I disagree with. And so I think that's really interesting. And then just having a president who tweets so much, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off that, do you think that there should be a dedicated committee just to review the president's tweet drafts before they are officially sent?
Oh boy. I would hope that we could elect somebody who wouldn't have to have their tweets checked.
Okay.
Right?
It really shouldn't be a thing. Thank you so much for joining us, and now we are going to pass it off to sports.
Hello, my little Hulkamaniacs. Have I got a story for you? The 1-5 Vikings traveled to Green Bay for a Week 1 rematch against the 5-1 Packers. The Vikings looked to flip the script as the last contest went in favor of the Packers by a score of 43-34. The story of the game for the Vikings was Dalvin Cook, as he scored all 4 of the team's touchdowns and carried the Vikings to a narrow 28-22 victory. Cook also etched his name into the Vikings history books as he became the 3rd player in Vikings history with 4 touchdowns in a single game, and the first to do so since 1979. This loss is only the 2nd of the year for the Packers, who are now 5-2, yet still remain in first place in the division. The Vikings are now 2-5. Although they may still be in last place, they have a chance to go up against division rival Detroit Lions next Sunday and try to move into that 3rd place spot. In fantasy football, well, with not many sports going on, fantasy football is where many fans are getting their fix for extra entertainment. At this point, most leagues have reached the midpoints of their seasons, and some are in the middle of the pack and looking to make a playoff run. With my own team being 7-1, I consider myself a foremost expert on the topic, and I'm here to pass my knowledge on to you. The 2 free agents that are still available in most leagues that I would consider picking up are the receivers David Moore from the Seahawks and Larry Fitzgerald from the Arizona Cardinals. Both receivers have many major upsides, 2 of those being their quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray, who have been the dominant 2 MVP candidates for the season. Now, although they may not be the first option for either of their teams, they're still poised to have solid games, scoring 8 or 9 points each. So, if you're looking to beat Dave from accounting this week, I expect you to take my advice and take it without a grain of salt. Now on to A&E.
Welcome to A&E. I'm here to make fun of Florida today. Not actually, we're not going to completely make fun of Florida, but I have seen Florida in the news because of the election. Some memes have been coming out, especially on TikTok and Twitter, about Florida's decision to elect Donald Trump. And a lot of the memes are surrounded around climate change and just how Florida will likely be underwater in 30 years. We'll see. Jack, thank you for being on A&E. Could you explain to me in what ways your perception of each candidate has changed due to social media?
Yeah, I can definitely say social media is a major aspect of how I've looked at politics this year. And I'm pretty neutral. I don't tend to go towards one side or the other. I see the positives and negatives of both. But just by social media presence, I've definitely seen a lot more of Biden, and that has made me more inclined to vote towards him. It's just a lot of the things that I've seen about Trump have been negative. They've been rallies and things about COVID and just not things that have influenced my own behavior versus Biden, who it's like, go towards Biden because you don't want Trump. So it hasn't really been a positive experience either way, but it's been a huge experience for me.
I agree. I believe Anna Brock brought up a really good point in her interview just a moment ago, speaking about how algorithms are tailored to what you view as a user of social media, and how on TikTok especially, the algorithm is top notch. It'll give you the videos that you want to see. It knows how to keep you engaged with the app. And a lot of my For You page or Explore page features liberal creators and teenagers my age that have content that I agree with. So because of that, I think a lot of our perceptions can be a little off at times, because if you're only viewing the content that you want to see, there's some calm theory for it. Of course, you're going to believe that everyone agrees with your viewpoint, even though that's not exactly the case. Now, Jack, can you speak a little bit more about how you think TikTok specifically has impacted the election? I know I talk about TikTok a lot, but let's hear about it.
No, I'm going to agree exactly with what you're saying. A lot of my friends this last year have been either going very liberal or very conservative. It's been on and off. It's not in the middle like I am. And because the majority of them are liberal, TikTok has definitely vouched me towards a more liberal path with what I'm looking at because of my friends. And it's like not even something that I've been purposely looking into, but like you said, their algorithm is so sharp that they were like, oh, this is what your friends are posting. Let's go more. And like some of it's funny, some of it's interesting, some of it's like actually informational, but it's been a very weird ride because I've never really looked into politics before this year. And now that I'm 18, like I'm voting. That's insane. And now I kind of had to look into it.
Yeah. I also think social media has given third-party candidates a lot more, or a bigger platform to speak their mind about certain subjects. Because before, I mean, traditionally the two-party system in the United States has been the complete rule. Very few times in the past have we voted outside of it. But now it's given, performers like Kanye West or Libertarian Party candidate, what was her name? Is it Jill Jorgensen, I believe? I could be completely wrong on that. Joe Jorgensen, not Jill, Joe. And they're on social media explaining like what they believe in. And I think that's also an interesting aspect. Jack, do you have anything else you would like to share about the election, social media, arts and entertainment?
I don't think so. I mean, it's a wild ride and we're almost the entire way done. So let's go.
My final thoughts is Florida, that hurricane's coming for you. Good luck. All right, now on to a video about paper sustainability.
Paper use is definitely something more that we speak to faculty about, because those are the folks that are probably printing off all of the handouts that you're getting from your classes and things like that.
According to statistics from the college's IT department, Concordia College has seen a steady decrease in overall paper usage since the early 2010s, with the college purchasing nearly half of what it once did annually.
And we still do have some initiatives or some communication that we try to put out just generally around recycling, or about trying to use white paper over colored paper, or black and white ink over colored inks, just because that makes the recycling process easier. You have to kind of, with anything in sustainability, balance the pros and cons for yourself. And if for some reason you find that paper really helps you learn better and you're able to, for me, I love to highlight and take notes, and so I actually use paper quite a bit. But I think that I'm actually getting more value for myself and my education that way. That offsets kind of some of that carbon footprint.
Despite the increasing push for electronics on campus, many would still argue that there are benefits to using paper over the computer-driven alternative.
If you're in class and you just handed out an article and maybe you even had them read part of the article in class, or you put them in groups and have them respond to the article, then the accountability is right in your face, right in front of you.
Not only do you then want to encourage students to use electronics, but I think kind of even the broader picture is to make sure that students are using electronics to their full life. Because even if you are using electronics to read or to, submit assignments, things like that, if you're one of those people who always wants to keep up on technology and you're buying a new computer every year or two, your impact isn't actually that much better, because you're still using all of those resources to buy those new computers, that new technology. So you'd be better off just using paper than using your computer that much. I think it depends on how you're using it and why you're using it. I think everything that you do has trade-offs. So I think if you're using it for a valuable reason, then you should print it off, but you should be intentional.
Despite some still choosing to use paper, the full transition to electronics seems to be only a matter of time.
If we're going down this road now, the college administrations need to be able to get the funding they need to support the best technologies that will make all this work. If paper is going to be a thing of the past, then whatever replaces it has to be better than what it currently is.
All right. Welcome back. For the end of our show, we are going to be doing a trivia. I mean, who doesn't like trivia questions, right? It's going to be between Elise and Grant in the news desk and Dylan and Parker for A&E. There will be 5 rounds, each with 3 questions, and I'll give each team about maybe 5 seconds. It's going to be pretty fast because I want them to think real hard. I think we're ready. The first section is going to be Concordia on Air, and this one's going to be for A&E. Due to COVID-19, Concordia on Air's last episode date of 2019-2020 season, available on the Ustream, premiered on what date?
March.
Well,
No, it was of 2020.
I don't have a no.
Was it?
You have an answer?
Can I look at a calendar? Because
March.
March 15th, March 8th.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. We're going to switch over to news now to see if they have an answer.
22nd?
I think it was earlier than that.
15th?
Sure.
March 15th?
No, I'm sorry, that's incorrect too. The last available stream is February 5th. Pretty weird. It is correct. I checked last night. All right, second question, and this will go to the news team. What is the color of the bomber jackets currently sitting on the upper floor with the Concordia on Air label?
Maroon?
Maroon, yeah.
Maroon?
Maroon, final answer.
That's correct. Let's go. First point. All right, and then the third question, which will be going right over to A&E. What is Aaron's middle name?
Is it Rose? Aaron.
5 seconds.
What's the first letter?
M.
Marie. What is Marie?
That is correct. I probably shouldn't have
Jeopardy?
given a letter, but that's okay. Round 2 is going to be food, and we're heading right back over to news. A common allergen, this popular spread is not only the basis of many sandwiches and candies, but can also be used to create a DIY diamond farm. What is it?
Peanut butter? Peanut
Sure.
butter.
That's correct. Let's go. I looked that up on Instagram yesterday, so I'm very happy that you guys got that one. The second question will be going to A&E. Last week's episode featured what flavor of chips?
You ate
They
it.
were sardine flavored chips or squid flavored chips.
Final answer?
They were yes.
That's correct. We're now at what, 2 and 2? Yes, 2 and 2. Thank you. Question C, and this one will be going to the news team. The Nintendo DS, originally introduced in 2004, is a handheld gaming console that has sold over 150 million units. Having been purchased in almost every country across the globe, the DS is most famously known for its modernization of the dual-screen system, hence the DS title. DS is also an acronym for the main food service option available here at Concordia College. When did they close on weekdays?
7:45. Final answer.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. A&E.
It was 7. Is it 8?
I thought it was. Well, they close at 2 different times, Mr. Host, because they close for cleaning in the afternoons and they close at night.
At night, when did they close? You have 5
I
seconds.
guess 8 officially.
I think it's 8.
8.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. The answer is 7:30. You guys are really close, though. But I can't give you the point. All right, we're at 2 and 2, and the third round is music, and this one's going to go to A&E. On this day, exactly 10 years ago, this banger was spending its 11th week on top of Billboard Hot 100. They were popping bottles in a blizzard, getting slizzard, and sipping like 3-6.
E6.
Beautiful. All right, our third point of the evening goes to A&E. Second question. In 2015, an astronaut released the first ever album recorded in space, Space Sessions, Song from a Tin Can. What is their nationality?
Canadian.
Sure.
Canadian.
Yes. How did you know that?
Everyone knows.
You didn't
that.
see the answers before. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And our last question in the music session with 3 and 3. The longest song title ever is Hoagie Carmichael's I'm a cranky old yank in a clanky old tank on the streets of Yokohama with my Honolulu mama doing those beto beto flat on my Cedo, Hirahoto blues. What is the third word in the song title?
Yank.
I think it's yank.
Yank.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. News.
Pass.
Second final answer.
No. Yes. I
Hank.
was Hank.
Hank.
I'm sorry, that's also incorrect. The third word was cranky. All right, our fourth section
Close.
is always a classic, math, what everybody loves and everyone despises. And the first question goes to news. I hope you guys are excited. You're at a score of 3-3, so hopefully someone does something interesting. Today's date is November 4th. What is the date of tomorrow's yesterday?
It's today, November 4th.
That's correct. Good job. Everyone loves a little math. A&E, this one's for you. Ed Sheeran's albums are traditionally named after mathematical symbols. Which of the 4 standard symbols has he not used for an album?
Division.
No, he has.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
Subtraction.
Yes. Subtraction.
That is correct. All right, we're at 4-4, and the final question of math will be going over to news. Niblet has 40 ears of corn at the beginning of the day. When he opens shop, he sells 9 ears to his neighbor Popster. At noon, his best friend of first grade, Orville Redenbacher, purchases 12 ears of corn. 5 minutes before closing time, his crush Cornelia came in and bought 4 ears of corn as well. When Niblet heads home for the day, how many ears of corn did he begin with? 40. Beautiful. All right, we're at 5-4 with only one section left. And that is going to be, of course, relating off of the election, presidential peculiarities. I think I said that word wrong, but we're going to go with it anyways. The first question is going to go over to A&E. During his term from 1801 to 1817, which famous president invented the first version of a modern office swivel chair?
1801 to 1817. That was a good run.
5 seconds.
It wasn't Buchanan. It was before Buchanan. Polk? No.
Was it?
Or
Final answer?
Madison. Madison?
Madison? James Madison?
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. News?
1801 to 1817. That's a long time. That's more than 2 terms. So could it not
5
be
seconds.
American? Maybe Napoleon?
I don't think that's an option.
I don't know. I want to say John Adams, though.
Sure.
John Adams.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. A good hint to think about is that Thomas Jefferson bought the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. He was the president who invented the swivel chair. All right, the second question goes over to news. The 20s weren't the only thing roaring during this president's 2 terms. Which president owned 2 pet raccoons named Reuben and Rebecca, respectively, that roamed around the White House freely?
I want to say Coolidge.
Sure.
Calvin Coolidge.
Awesome, that's the correct answer. And our final question for a wrap-up goes to A&E. Who is the only president to appear in an edition of Playboy?
Was it Reagan? Reagan was kind of hot. He also hated marginalized communities. So
5 seconds.
I would say Reagan.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Final answer of the night, news?
Donald Trump.
That's also incorrect. It was Jimmy Carter.
Really?
All right, Aaron, what's our scores?
I mean, he was kind of hot.
A&E got 4 points and News got 6, meaning that News is our reigning trivia champions. Everyone give them a round of applause out there.
Boo! Boo!
And just pretend that you're not hearing A&E booing. Yeah. All right. As always, thank you so much for joining us on Concordia on Air. We'll see you guys next week.